Recording in progress.
Oh yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro Styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey shot with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.
Yo, what up? What up, folks? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode, a brand new episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We are live, streaming on YouTube, Facebook Live, and on Twitter. You can follow us on the Twitter handle at Barbershop SPOR2. I'm your boy Trey Frazier, and that's the brother over there, the homie Maestro Styles. What's good, man?
Yes, sir. Coolin', man. You know, never Tuesday and never week to talk about sports, right?
Yeah, that's right, man. That's what's right. What's going on? How'd your weekend go? How'd the weekend turn out?
It was cool. I was trying to remember. Maya had her high school interview over the weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm old as hell. And you know, the rest was normal shit. Good weather outside, so they got to go outside and run around a little bit.
It was great weather, man. I mean, yesterday it was 67, and what was it, Sunday? Sunday was great too, man.
Yeah,
it was great too.
The problem is that kids only want to play for 20 minutes and they want to go back in the house. But
wish I had your kids, man. My kids, once they outside, they want to be outside.
Nah, not mine. Not mine. Not at 13 and 11.
Yeah, it's crazy. We spent the weekend out in Cambridge, Maryland. My aunt and uncle got a Airbnb out there, and my cousin Malcolm was in town this weekend. And my other cousin Philanda, shout out to them. She flew in Sunday. They got something going on in New York that they, matter of fact, they're going to see The View, actually, this week.
Okay.
So, so they're going to do their thing. I would suggest to anybody who's interested to go check out the Harriet Tubman Museum out in Cambridge, Maryland. We went to the joint. We did the trail. Looked at all the exhibits and stuff, learned a few things and some pretty cool stuff I didn't know in regards to Harriet Tubman. So I would suggest anybody in Maryland and, beyond to go check that museum out. It's pretty dope stuff right there.
That's what's up.
So I guess we got a good show tonight. We got NFL talk. We got some NBA stuff happening. Free agency is coming. We got some cuts and franchise tags, going around all over the NFL. We do got a guest, too, coming on, Jordan Watkins, who's one of the co-hosts of the Sports Laugh and Chill podcast with Gina and Rod and Wise and all those guys. So, he's going to come by in about 20 minutes and, talk some NBA, a little bit of NFL, and he's a former D1 athlete also, went to Stanford for a few years, played some football there, so we'll talk about that too. But what's the story of the week, man?
I don't know what the story of the week is, but we gotta say real quick before we get too wrapped up into sports conversation. Rest in peace to Chris Mortensen.
Yep.
ESPN. Widely known for his years and years and years working with ESPN. Rest in peace to Chris Mortensen, man. Obviously we know. If you've watched sports television for the past 40, it should seem like forever, then you know very well who Chris Morton is. Obviously known for his draft coverage over the years. Rest in peace, Chris Mortensen.
Yeah, everything that you said, man. Rest in peace. Condolences to his family and everything. He was diagnosed with cancer about 7, 8 years ago. And, you could kind of tell as you've seen him on TV over the last several years that face was slimming down, body was slimming down a little bit. But for that moment, he did beat cancer at that point. And every now and then you would still see him with like Adam Schefter, doing a report every Sunday, before the games come on and stuff like that. So yeah, man, huge loss for NFL journalism, when it comes to that. Rest in peace again. Condolences to the family, and sure. Everybody hold your head high. That worked closely with him for certain.
Yeah, for sure. Question. I got a question. And
Yep.
I don't want. So shout out LeBron. LeBron. 40,000 points, 40,000
Congrats.
career points. So now, leading scorer all time. Let me throw a theoretical at you. What if?
Yep.
If theoretically, or let's say at 40, or how old is he? 38, 39, something like that?
39.
If LeBron, 39, if LeBron three-peated, like what, and I'm still heavy on the Jordan's better than LeBron, like in that conversation, I'm still Jordan. I'm also asking, what would it take for us to at least consider the conversation? Would he have to three-peat? If he three-peated these next 3 years, would it be time to have a real conversation about him being better than Jordan? The reason why I'm asking is because here's the thing, and let me be clear. For me, it's still Jordan as it stands right now. But you gotta acknowledge that this dude has been top 5 basketball player for 20 years.
Mount Rushmore, easy.
Yeah, right. And but in most people's conversations, he's number 3. And I'm not, however you feel about it is however you feel about it. I'm not trying to get into a Kobe Bryant versus LeBron conversation right now. I'm just more so asking, what more does LeBron have to do for people to put him in the top 2 or 1?
I don't think really he has to do much. I just think if he wins one more championship, then I think the conversation continues. I think legitimately, the conversation can continue now.
Really?
It won't be 6. It won't be 6 titles. That'll be his 5th. But obviously, if he did, to answer your original question, obviously if he did three-peat somehow, then yeah, he would have exceeded Jordan in titles. And at that point, you can definitely say, okay, LeBron is number 1, hands down. But I think just to re-engage, because I'm at the point too where the Jordan-LeBron debate is just kind of dead to me right now. But I think for him to reignite the conversation, I think if he wins one more, I think you gotta bring the topic back up for debate. I mean, the man is the first one to eclipse 40,000 points. And that's going to be a record that I think is going to last probably another generation. You know what I mean? I mean, it's going to take somebody to do what LeBron has done. You talk about staying healthy. You talk about coming straight out of high school into the league. And you talk about
never averaging under averaging 25,
Never averaging
26
under.
points.
What's that?
Yeah. I was just saying he never. I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty certain he's never averaged under 25 points.
Okay, yeah. You'd have to average a little bit above that to even reach that status, combined with obviously staying healthy and putting against the, staying healthy, being in the league, for 20 years, 20 plus years. So I guess the real question for me, and I had this conversation with my uncle and my cousin on Saturday, was currently in the league right now, the player that can most likely get to 40,000 points. Not saying that he's going to eclipse LeBron, because I don't think anybody's going to eclipse LeBron, but who can be the second player in the history of the league to get to 40,000 points?
Right now. I'll be honest with you, bruh. Nobody, bruh. Like, I mean, look, I can't see nobody, man. I really can't see it. Anthony Edwards got that type of scoring capability, I think. Because now you're asking me, you got to name somebody that young. Not necessarily 17 coming in the league, but at least 19, 18, 19.
Right.
Maybe a Jason Tatum. Just because he's been there, he came in at 19, I believe. And I guess a lot of people come in that young nowadays, because
you could be one and done in college, and you could still be
done, right? So I guess a lot
19,
of them
20
that,
coming
right.
into the league, yeah.
I mean, majority stars come in at 19, I guess, nowadays. I mean, you got to think about like Devin Booker. I just don't know. I can't see nobody in the league right now being able to do that. I don't see it in nobody. There's no shade to nobody.
Yep.
I don't see that in nobody. I don't see nobody playing longer than, or being at, top 5 level for 10 years or 15 years. I don't see nobody doing that.
So let's cancel out Steph and KD, great players.
Because I don't
Hall
got
of
them
Fame.
doing it. They're
What's
not
that?
doing it.
Yeah, they're not doing it.
it.
Yeah, they're not doing it.
Yeah.
Steph is at like 23,000 points, and he's 35 years old. And even though he could probably play 6 more years because of his style of play, he's not going to be able to catch up to that 40,000 threshold. Yeah. KD is top 10 in all time in scoring, but he's like number 8, number 9.
For sure. I thought it was like 8 or 7. I think he just passed. I want to say Charles Barkley. I want to say it was Charles Barkley. He just passed recently.
Either Barkley or Melo, one of those two guys. He just passed.
Yeah,
but he's in that 8-9 range. But I think the trajectory with KD right now is a bit, I'd say, questionable, because I think he's had a little more health issues, particularly more with the feet and stuff like that. So I don't think he's going to catch it. Here's the guy I think can catch it, Giannis. Giannis right now, at the age of 29 years old, he's at 19,000, and I forget the, whatever the sum of that is, but he's at about 19,000 points right now. You figure if Giannis plays another 10 years at the level that he's at now, being able to average, because what is he averaging right now? He's averaging about 28, 29 right now. 20,
something like that. But where I would disagree, because if he played at this level for 10 more years, then we're having a conversation.
Yep.
Where LeBron is special is nigga, ain't nobody about to be playing at that level at 35. And Giannis don't got a jumper.
And let me correct myself. It's not 19,000. It's 18,099 points he's at right now at the age of 29 years old.
Yeah, but basically, I mean, I hear you, but basically 19,000. A few points off, but I can't see Giannis doing what he's doing 5 years from now if he doesn't develop a jumper, like a consistent jumper. So I don't see Giannis being able to do it.
I mean, that's a good point. Because you would expect, Because he scores differently than LeBron does. He gets his points differently. So yeah, I could kind of see.
And LeBron don't got the best jumper, but when he get going, he can go.
Yeah, when he goes, he can get going for certain.
Yeah.
I bring up Giannis because he's almost like halfway there at age 29. So that's why his name just kind of came up. But you're right in terms of thinking about some guys that are younger that have a trajectory that could potentially get there. I like the Tatum. The idea of
and
Tatum.
People that score.
People that can
people
score.
that score easy.
Right. And the people that can have the
though.
jumper consistently too.
Right. And that's what I mean by score easy, meaning they can get to the free throw, but they can shoot wherever they need to shoot from.
Yep.
So if if I don't feel like getting knocked over tonight, I can shoot jumpers and still get my 25, a game type thing. So yeah, I think about those types of guys, Booker, Tatum, Anthony Edwards. Like I think about those types of guys because they score. They can score. They can score however they want to score type of thing.
And they started young. I think that's the key. That's part of the key
everybody starts,
too.
but all the stars start young. So that's why I kind of took that out of the equation. All stars start young now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like it ain't.
Well, I hear you, but I think of somebody like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I think had he been a star from the jump when he got in the league, that he could have been a name thrown out there. But because I think when he came in, he wasn't scoring the way he is scoring right now, so I kind of, leave him out of it in a sense.
He was young though. But he was young. He came in young though.
No, but he wasn't scoring like he is now. Is what I'm saying.
I agree.
So I think that's why I kind of.
Yeah, I thought your focus.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I thought your focus was on young players coming in young, and the reason why I attacked it was because I'm saying all players at this stage of the game, everybody come in young, especially if you become a star, like
right.
And that's
the point I was trying to separate, was that while all the stars do come in young, Shai came in young, but Shai wasn't scoring like that when he first came in. It took him because when he was with the Clippers, he wasn't doing, what he was doing now. So I think because he started a little bit later in his career scoring the way he is now.
I didn't even know he was with the Clippers.
Yeah, he was with I think if I'm not mistaken, I want to say they're the ones that drafted him. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, he wasn't a star with the Clippers until once he got to OKC. That's when he kind of, took off a couple years ago. So that's why I leave him off the list with like a Tatum, an Ant-Man, and Devin Booker. Like I think those are three good names to at least be on the trajectory for 40,000 points in their career. But health is always going to be the thing that's going to maintain that.
Yeah, I think health. I think being the ability to score 25 a year and up, and also being able to do that for 15, 18, 20, and obviously into the 20 years that LeBron has done it. I just don't see I don't see really anybody being able to do it for 20 years. I don't see nobody being able to do it for 20 years.
That I agree with. It's going to take a whole generation for somebody to really, catch up to that. It really is. But shout out to the homie LeBron James, man. We going to miss this brother when he's done playing. I mean, he might get 41,000 points. He might get 42,000 points. He could
yeah,
legit.
I mean, look. Yeah, like we saying, it's clearly going to be a Hall of Fame career. I mean, already obviously a Hall of Fame career.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to LeBron, like legend, man. Like I said, we just waiting to see where Bronny going to go, and then we'll call it a career.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, so I heard last week that these projections for Bronny to come out the draft, they said that he's not a projected first-round pick. I heard that, and I know LeBron had some words to say about that. And so my thought was always this. Regardless of whether people predict where he's going to get drafted first, second round, I just always thought no matter what the projections were, LeBron was going to have a say-so as to who was going to draft Bronny, when they were going to draft Bronny. Forget the prognosticators and the projections and stuff like that. I've just always been of the mindset that, I mean, Bronny could be projected to be in the third round and he'll still get drafted in the first round. That's kind of always been my thought about that. Your thoughts?
I mean, I've said it. I said it. Well, I mean, we had a debate about about it. LeBron is going to play with his son. That's what's going to happen. If he just that's what's going to happen. If it ain't nothing for 1 year, then ain't nothing but 1 year. But LeBron is going to play an NBA game with his son. That's his goal. He is the unofficial. What am I trying to say? What's David Stern's title? Commissioner. LeBron is the unofficial commissioner of this NBA, and he is going to he's going to use those muscles and that ability to get his son and play with his son wherever that happens. Like I said, which is why I am 100% sold that he is going to LA by hook or crook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to get to that point. Like, I think if the Lakers end up picking 15th or 16th, I think they're going to pick Bronny. Whether it's this draft or whether it's the following year's draft.
And let's be clear, because it's not like Bronny is like setting the world on fire right now.
Yeah.
That's better for the Lakers.
Yeah.
That means they ain't gonna have to worry about no trading up. You know what I'm saying? Like wherever he is, unless he turn up all of a sudden, he's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Wherever he is in the first round,
that's
he's
true.
Gonna be there. They're gonna get him, and that's gonna be how they send LeBron off into retirement.
That's true. That is true. I heard something weeks ago that there was a conspiracy theory that the Lakers were tanking games, which I didn't buy into. You're not missing, if you're LeBron and you're the Lakers, you're not missing the playoffs. You're not bowing out in the play-in tournament. So I wasn't buying that for 1 second. I just think that if people are going to project him to be a top, not a top pick, but to be picked in the top of the second round or something like that, the Lakers are sitting perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. If he decides to come out this year or if he decides to come out next year, he'll be fine. The Lakers will get him, and it'll just be that. It's just that simple to me.
And congrats to Caitlin Clark on breaking the all-time
because I was getting ready
NCAA scoring record.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, man, because it's funny. We talking about Bronny, and Bronny ain't even the most popular basketball player in USC right now.
No.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, shout out to Juju Watkins. I don't know what happened, but where did you surmise that women's basketball, college basketball became more exciting than men's basketball? Because let's be clear, that's what's going on right now.
Oh, I know. When you think of who the face of college basketball is, men's and women's combined, it's Caitlin Clark. That's the first name that comes up. And Juju Watkins is on that trajectory to be that once Caitlin Clark goes to the draft later this year. Juju's going to be number one right there. So, yeah, the women's game in college is taking over.
And even before that, Andrew Reese and before that,
Aaliyah Boston.
Was it Sabrina? I was thinking about the chick Sabrina.
Ionescu.
Ionescu. Thank you. It's been a couple of years, right, where like I don't even be hearing about men's college basketball nowadays. I hear about women's college basketball. I thought it was interesting. Because I heard somebody say it on ESPN on social media, and they was talking about how we ain't talking about men's college basketball. Like nobody's talking about that shit more. Everybody's talking about women's college basketball, and this renaissance of Sabrina to Angel Reese to Caitlin Clark to Juju Watkins, Shorty in South Carolina. Like it's really a thing now where we ain't tripping off of men's college basketball right now.
How much do you think it has to do with the departure of a Roy Williams, a Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, whatever you want to call him, the legendary coaches of the game for years and years? Because let's be clear, the college game, period, has been headlined by coaches for the most part. Like when you think about the faces of college athletics, it's been more the coaches than it has the players in certain respects. I'm not saying that that's been like that for a long time. I don't know if
I agree with that. I don't know. Who do you consider was the last big men's college basketball star? Not based on court production, but just overall star power. I think the last one,
Zion, maybe
for me. That's how I was going to was Zion. And that was 6 years ago, maybe.
About 5-6 years ago, yeah. Because he was in the same draft as RJ. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. So we haven't had a star in men's college basketball since maybe Zion Williamson. I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with Krzyzewski or Roy Williams. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that Caitlin Clark is shooting faces off. I know that Angel Reese is balling. I know that Sabrina before Caitlin Clark. I mean, let's be clear. Like, she is Caitlin Clark. She is fucking girl Steph Curry. Like, that's what the fuck she is.
Yeah. Look, she is selling out arenas. Like
Travis Scott pulled up.
Some of the college teams that they've played have experienced their first sellouts because of Caitlin Clark. That's how much of the impact that she's had on women's basketball in college right now.
Yeah, and she's shooting faces off. So, yeah, man. Shout out to Caitlin Clark, man. What was it? Pistol Pete she passed for
Pistol
for the
Pete's
record?
Pistol Pete's record, man. Pete's record,
so,
man.
I mean, shout out her. I mean, look, I'm not gonna go as far as to call her the greatest college basketball athlete ever, but she damn sure got all the points.
Well,
damn sure got the
I think
points
what's
record.
going to be interesting now that she's got both records, women's and in NCAA overall, let's see what happens in this tournament because, and I don't want to forget this team, but Dawn Staley has got her South Carolina team on a roll right now with another undefeated season right now. I mean, they're certainly in play to win the whole thing as much as LSU being in there right now. So I'm curious to see if Caitlin Clark can get back to the spot she was at last year in the national title game, let alone the Final Four. And if she can take that team and win a championship, then I think that takes her up to like the immortal status of she's got the record for scoring, women's side, NCAA overall, and she's got a chip to cap off the immortal collegiate career to go with that.
I don't know, but it's immortal words stop popping up all of a sudden. But look, what I will say is yeah, she needs. I would imagine she want a piece of LSU is what I would imagine. I would hope that she didn't forget that she didn't forget. I know there wasn't never really no real thing between her and Angel Reese, but I'm sorry, I still got that photo saved in my phone. So
sure.
Yeah, so
yeah, she got more to worry about than just LSU. Like I said,
sure, but I'm just saying, I'm talking about if the world was hers.
Yeah,
I would think she would want another piece of them when it matters.
Of course she does. No question about it. No question about it. But again, congrats on the record. She's already great. Like I don't want to turn this into a debate of whether she's great or not. She is great. She's in a tier right now, I think, by herself, and then there's just others that are above her, and that's okay. But right now, with what she's doing, and in this era of basketball period, she's shooting the lights out right now. So let's just enjoy this for as long as for really the rest of this season, because she's declaring for the draft, and I think she's going to be one of those faces of the WNBA real soon, if not immediately. Like, I think she could make an immediate impact with whoever. I think the Indiana Fever got the number 1 pick in the draft this year, so unless something crazy happens, she's going to play for the Fever, and she's going to put some butts in them seats for that team.
Well, and just to throw a little prayer on the conversation, I saw a mock draft for the WNBA, and I don't remember where I saw it from, but Angel Reese is projected to go to the Mystics. So,
now, is that because of the whole area thing, or just?
Nah, because Angel Reese is a dog, and we need dogs on the Mystics so we can compete in this.
Wait, what pick do they have?
8 or 9. I think it's 8 or 9.
8 or 9? Did she declare she's coming out this year?
I don't know. I know I read a mock draft list.
Okay.
This today. I just scrolled past.
I just haven't heard her come out and say it, so that's why I'm asking.
Hey, I would assume that they put her there for a reason. I don't know who these guys. I know it wasn't like it was somebody. I don't know who it was. I don't know who it was. It's not. I don't know if it's a credible source or not. I just know I was scrolling and I saw that Andrew Reed, Caitlin Clark was number 1, and and a whole bunch of other names. Aaliyah, I don't want to keep messing her name up. Aaliyah Scott. I know that Andrew Reese was projected to go to the Mystics, and I said, "Oh, all right, that's what's up."
Okay. You can still be on projection. You could still be on a list for projections to come out the draft, but
and not declare.
Not declare. Obviously. Yeah. That's possible. I was just asking because I didn't hear her come out and say she's declaring for the draft, but that would be dope. That would be dope if the Mystics can, if she does come out this year, be able to get her. But if the Mystics are picking number 8, man, that's gonna be tough. I mean, there's 7 other players that are more valuable. Well, I won't say valuable, but I can't.
Yeah, but I would say because it's about a million other things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Politics, sure. Politics can play into it, but if you're a team that's picking 1 through 7, I don't see how you pass up on Angel Reese. That's just me.
Hey man, I'm just read a projection. I wouldn't even just read a projection and thought oh, that would be nice.
Nah, I hear you, man. NFL for a minute, man. Mike Evans got a new contract, 2 years, $52 million. Mike Evans is a lock for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He deserves this contract. He is, I think throughout his tenure, minus the Tom Brady years, he was the face of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and, great by the Buccaneers to do right by Mike Evans on getting the bag, and it looks like he'll, finish out his career with the Bucs, man.
Yeah, Hall of Fame career. Shout out to him. Shout out to his last couple of years, like you said. They got I guess Baker is still out there. He hadn't been officially extended or re-signed rather.
Not yet.
But, he has been officially re-signed. But, you definitely want to take care of Mike Evans, if anybody on that team, like you said, the face of that team for years. So, and definitely the best receiver since he's been there. So,
yeah, no question. Consistent, man.
Yeah.
1,000-yard seasons every year. Real consistent, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was that good.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask because I think we kind of had this conversation previously about what the market is for Baker Mayfield, and I was saying maybe in the range of 25, $29 million. But I think now that this Daniel Jones contract isn't working out necessarily for the Giants, if I'm Baker's agent, I'm probably going to bring that to the table and be like, hey, you got to give Baker $40 million. My man just won a playoff game and went to Detroit and almost took Detroit out.
Um, I, I don't know if they're gonna jump that high, but I mean everything that I've been seeing because of all the Kenny Pickett melee, all the Kenny Pickett rumors, is that Baker Mayfield is going to be, like you said, in that 25 to 29 price range.
Mm-hmm.
Um, look, uh, I don't, yeah, because here's the thing about Baker Mayfield, and I get it. I get that it is a "what have you done for me lately" league thing,
Yep.
but I think it's also what you got to put into account is that he's not young. Baker Mayfield, like he's been in the league to what 2018, 6 years, like he's on the. I don't want to say
Well,
back
when
half
you
of
say
his career.
young, when you say young, you're just saying that he's been passed around to different teams in the last what year
Yeah,
or so? Yeah, year, couple years.
yeah, 2 or 3 years, but like I think the press is out about him. So even if it is a quote unquote renaissance, you're not gonna pay him like a. I don't think you would pay him like a top guy. Like it would be more like how they did Geno Smith in Seattle when he had that good year. So
Yeah,
and that's why I'm thinking that it's going to be in that 25 to 29 million dollar range. But you bring up an interesting point because the franchise tag for quarterbacks I believe is going to be what 38.
is it? Okay, I didn't know
I
that.
believe so.
Okay.
Don't quote me. I believe it's going to be 38. I was listening to somebody talk about it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that would be interesting for I mean, look, you would want to get franchise or find some medium between that 29 million and that 38 million. But that still wouldn't jump to 40 million though. That's all I'm getting at is that you had a good year. Salute. You should be paid. If you get re-signed,
Mm-hmm.
which I have to assume he's going to get re-signed.
Yeah.
But I don't see him getting that 38. And Tampa Bay already franchised Antoine Winfield,
Mm.
so that's out the window. He's
And that
definitely not
corner
going
and
to
that
get.
money is what 21 million for
I
corner.
don't know what the safety. I don't know the safety is safety, but I don't know what the
Well,
safety
safety
franchise is.
17. Safety 17
Okay,
million.
yeah. So Antoine Winfield's at say he's getting franchised at safety.
Okay. Yeah, so you got
Yeah, so
you got his franchise tag on the safety. You just gave Mike Evans a bag. So yeah. Look, I'm
it's going
with
to be
you.
that 25 to 29 million. It's going to be that 25 29.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like that's his range. But you do kind of agree with me in the sense that if you're his agent and you're sitting at that table and you're looking at a contract like a Daniel Jones contract, that was a $40 million contract, and his numbers aren't that great, and he got hurt unfortunately. But
The reason
I
why I
think for the
would
bargaining, I think at the bargaining table and in negotiations, you have to bring up that Daniel Jones contract as a comparable. Now, if the Bucks say, "Hey man, we got 28, 29 here for you. You can take this now, or you can go to another team and see if they got 40 million for you, but we're not going to be the ones to give you $40 million."
I mean, sure. I mean, sure, but sure, you could start there just from the sake of the rule of a negotiator is to bid high and
Yep.
I mean, if that's yeah, sure, but let's be clear.
And that's a good comparable.
Um,
That-
but don't, but no, but I don't think it's a good comparable. Daniel Jones was younger. Daniel Jones,
He's
quote
only a year
unquote, had
younger.
upside.
I mean, yes, he is younger, but he's not younger by a lot. I mean, you figure that's Daniel Jones' second contract. This would be Baker. This would, in a sense, would be Baker's second contract. You know what I'm saying?
So wait, hold on. What am I? Daniel Jones was drafted in what year?
2019, and Baker was drafted in 2018.
And then Baker 2018. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize they was that close. That close together. Okay. Well, then maybe, but I don't. What I'll say, because I think whether the years don't, I mean, it do make a difference, but my thoughts are, is that Baker Mayfield's quote unquote what he is as a quarterback, I think that was defined earlier than Daniel Jones. So I think people still looked at Daniel Jones as having upside, and maybe that's the Cleveland Browns' fault for. However that
for giving up on him early,
right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe that was the Cleveland Browns' fault. But regardless of whose fault it is, the Baker Mayfield was early. I mean, nobody flats out would call him a bust. That's not true. But leaving Cleveland that early, those rumblings were a thing. Whereas even though Daniel Jones didn't play well, those rumblings of being a bust have never happened because he was never released from a team so early. So I think that stigma of being released from a team that early affects how you get paid. I do believe that.
The stigma, yeah. You bring up a good point about that, and kind of just like Daniel Jones. I mean, the contract year for Daniel Jones, he took him to the playoffs and beat Minnesota on the road. You look at Baker kind of in comparison, and granted it wasn't his contract year, but that year that he took the Browns to the playoffs, won a playoff game, and almost beat the Chiefs in the divisional round. Same kind of path for both guys, except like you said, one just gave up on him because of whatever the situation was. Whether it was Deshaun Watson's out there, let's go make the swap and do that, or they just didn't believe in him anymore. I think it's still like in the agent's eyes, I still think it's a good idea to at least bring that to the table and then let the Buccaneers let you know, hey, we not doing that. If you want to go somewhere else and get that money, go somewhere else and see if they gonna pay you $40 million a year. But we're not gonna be the ones to do it.
I think you make them tell you no. I agree with that, but but what I'll say is that if I'm Tampa Bay, that's a real quick no, and you better move on. If you're Baker Mayfield's agent, go ahead and take that one no, and you better move on and go on and let's talk real negotiations.
Yeah, the Geno Smith one is a good comparison too. It's a good one too. Like you bring that up because what's Geno getting? Geno's getting 30.
30, somewhere around 30,
somewhere around 30.
Between 30 and 35.
Okay, all right. So
yeah. I think that's reason that, like, look, based on what you did in Tampa, sure, we'll give you that 30.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And I would argue he should get more than
That's what Geno did. I don't. Why?
Baker won a playoff game. Just off of that. Just off of that. Geno hasn't done that yet.
Okay. I mean, sure.
These are the types of things agents bring up.
Yeah, but I don't know that. I mean, but what yes, because a playoff win does count for something. But what is that? How do you value one playoff win? In your first year with a team, like, do you say? Because let's be clear, this team was what 8-8, 7-9, and you know what I'm saying, like
9-8,
like
9-8.
9-8. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So like you know what I'm saying, they was in a trash division. Not to take. They won a division, so I'm not taking anything from them.
And they beat the defending champs. And yes, we know the defending champs had problems down the stretch in the season, but they beat the defending champs, however way you want to slice it.
I think if I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I appreciate your attempt, but get the fuck out of my face with $40 million. Let's get back to the real negotiations. If I'm Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield's agent comes to me and says, I think I deserve $40 million because I won a playoff game and I wanted the NFC South. I say get the fuck
because
out
I'm
of my face.
better
Let's
than
get back to the
Daniel
real
Jones,
negotiations.
and Daniel Jones got $40 million, and that dude
I
hurt,
say if
and my
I'm-
numbers is better
if
than
I'm
Daniel
Tampa
Jones.
If I'm Tampa Bay, I say get the fuck out of my face. Let's talk about the real negotiations.
Yeah,
If I'm Tampa Bay,
no argument there.
yeah.
No
So I'm
argument there.
So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at shooting a shot. I'm just more so saying in the real negotiations. So in the real negotiations,
Yep.
you nigga, you're $29 million. No disrespect. You $29 million. You're not 40.
Yep. Find somebody else that'll give you the 40. If you don't find them, you're always welcome to come back. We can come back to the table and we can work something out.
But now if you gotta come back, now I might kick you down to 25.
Yeah.
If I let you go and now you coming back talking about, oh, I need a job.
That's the risk you take.
Yeah.
As a quarterback,
Yeah,
as
for
an
sure.
agent, those are the risks you take. No doubt about that, man.
For sure. The Seahawks released Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs today. They're both of their safeties. I guess Jamal Adams was you kind of saw the tea leaves. You saw it written on the wall. Injuries. He didn't really,
the injuries more so than anything.
Yeah. Quandre Diggs in my mind was a little bit. I don't pretend to watch a whole bunch of Seattle Seahawks, but I know Quandre Diggs is a quality safety, so that was a little surprising. But look, man, I tell you what, as Pittsburgh is trying to find a whole lot of things on their roster right now, I wouldn't be mad at them taking a look at Quandre Diggs right now.
Yeah, those are some good players that I think could be useful on some other squads, man. The Jamal Adams thing, so I watched him come back maybe mid-season, and I don't remember if it was the Dallas game on Thursday or if it was another primetime game. Maybe it was the Eagles game Monday night where he came back and he immediately got hurt. I think it was a concussion situation. He had to leave the field, go in the blue tent, get checked out, and I don't think you saw him the rest of that game. So I think that was a moment for me where it was, I think the Seahawks are going to make the decision to, part ways with him. It's unfortunate because I had some high hopes for his career. Like, there was a point where we kind of regarded Jamal Adams as one of the better safeties.
One of the better safeties,
in the league, even going back to his, Jets years. And even though the Jets weren't a good team, he was still one of the bright spots on that team. So, I hope he can find, someone that'll, take a chance on him. I'm sure they will. And Quandre Diggs too, man. Somebody will, scoop him up real quick, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Quandre Diggs in our safety room in our backfield. Our defensive backfield, for sure. Pittsburgh, go ahead and take a look at Quandre Diggs, man. Maybe, and for me, Quandre had a pretty good safety. So I would love to take a look at Quandre Diggs and release Patrick Peterson, Pittsburgh. What are we waiting on?
Oh, you want that? So you want that? Okay.
Man, I wanted that game 4. I wanted it game 4. I don't want Pat. Like, look,
all right.
I get it. Hall of Famer, all those things. Maybe he goes somewhere else and flourishes at safety. But I don't want him to be a safety in Pittsburgh. I don't. Sorry,
Man,
I don't.
Cooked. That man's cooked.
Yeah.
Well, in other
Saquon.
news, Justin Madubuike got tagged by the Ravens today. So for defensive tackle, I think that number is $23, $24 million, I think, for a D tackle. Not sure. But I thought that was the right decision. They'll have time to obviously, work some things out. There'll be a timeline to where they could still negotiate, be able to get a long-term deal in place. But that tag. We could have used that tag on him because he balled out last year. 13.5 sacks, I think, was his number there. We definitely need to, make sure we bring him back in some capacity. This is just more the reason that Patrick Queen is probably going to sign someplace else, and it's unfortunate, but it's the name of the game, man. You can't pay 2 inside linebackers big money. It's just done, at least in this day and age, it's kind of unheard of. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Interesting enough though, in the AFC where you got to worry about Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting, but I agree that you can only pay one middle linebacker. You can't pay both of them contracts. Other NFL tag notables are Josh Allen in Jacksonville got the tag.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Burns in Carolina got the tag.
Yep, I heard about that.
Jalen Johnson got the tag in Chicago at cornerback. I know we knew about Pittman. Did we know about L'Jarius Sneed getting it, or did he?
Yes, I knew. I saw that one earlier too.
Okay,
today.
so those are the notables that notable NFL tags. We do need to talk about Saquon Barkley. They are going to let him walk.
Yeah,
they
not surprised.
Saquon walk.
Not surprised, man.
No, not surprised, but I mean, look, they about to be rebuilding all over again. Let's just call it a buck. The Giants are about to be rebuilding over again.
Yep.
They, saying maybe they, clearly they drafted the wrong quarterback. With all due respect to Saquon Barkley, they drafted the wrong running back.
You could say they drafted the wrong player because there's been talk in New York that they shouldn't have drafted Barkley, with what was that, the second overall pick that year? Yeah, that they could have went quarterback, they could have went defense, they could have went elsewhere, but not the running back position to be at that spot. So
that's funny as hell because they was not saying that at all when he was getting drafted. But I guess hindsight is 2020.
Of course.
Yeah.
Let's get to our guest here. You have something to say, Maestro? Thought you had something.
No, I was going to say I wanted to know because I don't know if he ready yet, but I wanted to talk about some possible landing spots for for Saquon. I saw the Texans, obviously.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I saw the Vikings. I saw who else did I see? But I did like the Vikings if Kirk comes back. Yeah,
I was gonna say that's a big if. It's a big if right now.
But any possible landing spots you could think of on top of your head?
The Texans one was the first one. I mean, they got a lot of money to spend. Another place would be Chicago. I would keep my eyes on Chicago too.
What you think about the Justin Fields? Well, let's bring Jordan in. Look like he game now.
Yeah. He's ready. He's ready to rock and roll. Man had a hard day at work today, but let's welcome in the homie right here, Jordan Watkins, co-host of the Sports Laugh and Chill Show. Shout out to Gina and the crew and everybody else there. Certainly one of the best podcasts out there. Certainly one of my favorites. Me and Maestro have been on there previously, and every now and then Gina asks me to pop in every so often now. So Jordan Watkins, welcome to the show, man, and thanks for joining us, man. How's everything?
What's going on, fellas? First off, appreciate y'all having me. Sorry again about that little delay going on. You know how work can go sometimes, but no, things are good. Happy to be here. Sure, eventually we're gonna have to talk about that whole Yankee background with baseball season popping up. So I can't get down with that, but no, things are good.
No doubt. So let me start here. You originally from Atlanta, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so you Falcons, Hawks, Braves, the whole nine.
You name it. Hawks, Braves, Atlanta Dream, Atlanta United. They got Atlanta in the name. That's who I rock with.
No doubt.
That's what's up.
So you attended Stanford.
Yep.
D1 athlete. You played football. What position you played again?
Defensive line.
Defensive line. That's what's up. That's
Mhm.
what's up. What was that experience like getting to Stanford and coming from Atlanta, going to the West Coast, and going to a school like that? They say you got to be high IQ to go to Stanford. What was that like?
Mhm. Man, I tell you what, I had a higher IQ going in than I did going out because some of those football hits that you take, they'll take some points off of you.
Uh huh.
But no, in all seriousness, man, it was a blessing. I think when I was deciding on schools, I had around like 40 offers, scholarship offers, all over the place. Any SEC school you want to name, ACC school, some in between like Oklahoma and all of those. I could go wherever pretty much,
Yeah.
right? And with Stanford, it was just this special combination of, obviously we all know how great of a school it is academically. When I first started looking at it, that's when I think they just went to the Orange Bowl and beat Virginia Tech. So they were on the map football wise too. And then, I love Atlanta. I always see maybe one day I'll be back or having property there one day, things like that. But since I knew that, I wanted to get out for a little bit, right? I didn't want to be in Georgia my whole life, things like that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, just see something different. And that's really what helps Stanford appeal to me so much. And I tell you what, it is different out here in California than it is in Georgia. That is for sure. Um, but no, it's been great being out here. It really has. So those were kind of some of the factors. And yeah, man, it was just great learning more about the world, about this country, just seeing how people act differently. All those things. I'm still annoyed that there's no Waffle House out here though. Like that's one thing I can't get down with. I need Waffle House out here. So we're still working on that.
Yeah, we got one. I think we got one in like Virginia. Is the closest from where I am is in like Virginia. So question, man. I think I think it's interesting, and I don't. It's interesting, being a D1 athlete, playing, and then getting into media, and it's funny because obviously you have maybe a better insight, a better, like, so when we talk about sports conversations, we have sports conversations, you play sports, so you have a better, I guess, not, I won't say better, but different, obviously a more nuanced opinion about sports as you talk about it on different sports platforms. What is one thing you feel like me? I barely graduated high school. So, what's something that us couch GMs, I like to call it, what's something that we should know about that you offer different from like people who don't play the game or haven't played the game at a high level?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say sometimes we don't understand as much as everyone else doesn't. And so like I'll give you an example. So while I do hop on podcasts, right? We shout out Gina and Rod and Dan and everybody. Um, I also do like actual like broadcasting, right? Like play by play, things like that. And just this Sunday, I did a broadcast. It was a top 10 matchup between Stanford and UGA, right? University of Georgia. And now there are some things I understand a good bit about softball, but obviously I didn't play college softball,
Right.
So the person I broadcast with, shout out to her. She played at Stanford and she's killing it right now in the softball media game. Um, and so a lot of times, even though I'll ask her a lot of questions during a game, but sometimes I really will ask her questions because I just don't know. It's like I'm asking her like, "Hey, you walk me through this. You tell me what would be your approach at the plate right now." Um, so there are a lot of times with certain things we don't know either.
Yeah.
Now, I think that I'm better at letting people know that I don't know than others will. Like, sometimes that ego kicks in and you don't want to let certain people know that. But yeah, sometimes we don't know certain things either. But at the same time, there are certain situations where I think where we obviously, we do get frustrated or annoyed is like if we're telling you something based off an experience.
Yeah.
And then it's like you want to disagree with the experience. That's where like, wait, how can you disagree with that? I'm telling you, like, I was in the locker room during this type of conversation,
Right. Right.
or I was on the field, when this was happening and that was happening. So it's kind of it's so funny just because it's like it's that mixed bag. You know what I mean? Of like
Mm.
there are some times we actually don't know either, but there are other times where it's like, no, we actually do know what we're talking about. Like just take a step back and actually hear what we're saying.
All right, so let's get straight to lineman. You've played that position. What in the hell is wrong with the Falcons defensive line?
They got to figure out who's going to play quarterback. That's
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, was about the quarterback. But hey, man,
Yeah.
the Broncos just let one go yesterday, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so much fun right now with the Falcons. Like I've said the last 2 years, it's fun finally in this position, that position, because like you have the cap space to worry about it, but you're also in a foundation organizationally where that matters, right? For the last few years, it didn't matter what you did or who you brought in or whatever the case may be. So it's fun now that we're in a spot where you can start worrying about that again. Like for example, in terms of the D line, I don't think we have as much of a problem now. What my hope is, we don't have to use that eighth overall pick on a quarterback and we get Dallas Turner. Like I want to bring Dallas Turner to Atlanta because an edge rusher, that true edge rusher, is something we've been missing for years.
Yeah.
I know Vic Beasley had that one shout out year, but we really haven't had a good edge rusher, someone a pass rush presence since John Abraham was in Atlanta. So, bringing someone in like that, of course, like I said, all the cap space we have, if we can bring in one of those big time free agent rushers too, that would be the one thing that we're missing, right? So you're talking about what's it, Daniil Hunter, Josh Allen down in Jacksonville. You got to see what his situation is.
He was just tagged.
So he got tagged too. Okay.
Yep, he got tagged.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's the thing too. It's so interesting. Like usually, there was once upon a time where like if guys got tagged, that means you don't touch them because you can't.
Right.
Now it's okay. They tagged them because they might trade them. So it's just crazy how that's switched up too. And because I know like Brian Burns, for example, he's another guy that just got tagged, but you saw Carolina fumble the bag with him last year, where LA offered them, was it 2 firsts and a second? I think and they said no, but now here you are a year later and you can't get a contract negotiated with them. So yeah, it's one of those things where just because those guys got tagged, you still might be able to trade for them, but especially like y'all talked about, right, with Denver, that situation I was looking at so closely because the way Russell Wilson's contract set up, you can bring him in technically for a vet minimum.
Yeah,
he's still going to get paid that
$1.2 million, right?
Yeah, because he's still going to get paid like 39 mil, I think, from Denver. So that you bring him in, that opens up so many more possibilities what you can do with all the cap space. So no, like I said, it's fun being in that position where you can look at things like that and play kind of the salary cap algebra, if you will, of what you can do again, because it's been a while for us.
Without looking at a lot of Falcons games last year, I thought the defense improved a bit. I know maybe that had a lot to do with the schedule, with the NFC South being played a couple times a year. But I thought Jesse Bates at the safety position, I thought that was a great free agent signing for y'all, man. And he really played like, the money that you guys paid him to, play. Kind of getting back to the quarterback spot, like, who do you want? Two-part question. Who do you want as the quarterback, and who do you think eventually they're going to go after? We talked about Russ. We know there's the Justin Fields rumor of him coming home. Kirk Cousins, I heard this earlier today, that is a rumor that he purchased some property out in the Atlanta area. So, where do you think they go to the quarterback spot? Who do you prefer to be the quarterback for the Falcons?
Yeah, I've had a couple of different paths of how I think about this. So one of them is, if you're gonna go with one of those older vets, and again, it was more so because of his contract situation. That's where I look Russell Wilson. And again, if you looked at what he did in Denver last year, like it wasn't the same let Russ cook Russell
Yeah.
Wilson in Seattle,
Yeah.
but what was it, like 28 touchdowns, 9 interceptions?
Yeah,
If you would have had
26 and 8. Yeah.
Yeah, if you would have had that in Atlanta last year, they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
Easy.
Like I'll take that,
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also understand, with some of those older guys with their age, you would still have to have a plan B. And, with that being said, I'm still not fully sure where exactly his draft range is going to be, but one person I have been, on the hype train for, and it was even before this year. You can ask anybody. Michael Penix Jr.
I knew you were going to say him.
I'm telling you, I remember last year, right? Because I've done some work with Pac-12 Network on the production side, so I had to watch a lot of games.
Yeah.
And they were up in Eugene playing against Oregon, and for anyone who's watching, if you've never been there, that place gets so loud. It is incredibly hard to play there, and that's a big rivalry, Oregon and Washington. So it gets up to another level, right? Oregon ran like a cover 2 scheme. So Washington's on the right hash. Oregon's in the cover 2. Michael Penix throws a hole shot on the left side of the field. I'm thinking, who even thinks about throwing that? Like that doesn't make sense. Like, I couldn't even fathom that, right? And so, fast forward to this year and everything that he did, this year for the Huskies, helping them get to the national championship. I was on that hype train last year.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those guys where, especially again, if you don't go quarterback at 8, because I don't think Penix is going to go that high, but if you do go a vet and then you want to draft one later just to prepare and develop, that's how I would go with that.
So burn down the quarterback room as it's constructed right now. That's what y'all doing. Batter, Ritter, Heineke.
It's just so sad.
I keep
I'm a
Heineke,
Desmond
though.
Ritter fan in terms of, actually no, I would do the opposite, and that's more so because of salary cap reasons.
Gotcha.
Desmond, Desmond came in as a 3rd-round pick, so he's a lot cheaper of a backup, than Heineke would be. You get rid of Heineke, that's another $6-7 million that you have.
That's true.
For salary
I didn't
cap
think
reasons.
about the money part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, you don't love Heineke like that. I get what he did in Washington, but you don't love Heineke like that.
The thing for me is, like, I always looked at his numbers, and I wish I had that sticky note still here with me. But even when he was in, like, and I get it, he's a gamer, he plays with that chip on his shoulder. I get it. He has that personality you can fall in love with. But overall for him,
He wasn't good.
No. And like that wasn't even just an Atlanta thing. You look at his numbers, you look at how many turnovers he's had, and not even just interceptions, it's also fumbles as well.
Yeah.
Versus the starts that he's had. He's always been a turnover guy. Right? And so that was the thing for me, where like when he came to Atlanta, I was like, all right, cool. But also what was so surprising to me when he came in is that he even admitted, hey, Arthur and Terry Fontenot said, like, hey, you're coming in to back up this guy. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
They really are going all in with Desmond Ritter. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm with it.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but like, now that's a new regime, different coaching staff and all that. It's
Yeah. Now when I
save that money.
Now when I say keep Heineke, I'm just talking about as the backup quarterback. I'm not talking about
I figured.
Obviously.
him
Yeah,
starting.
obviously.
Yeah. But I hear you with the whole cap number situation and it making more sense to keep Ritter because of that, and they drafted the guy. But I always thought last year they should have just stuck with Ritter. Like, even when he was playing bad, even when he had those red zone interceptions, they should have never benched him for Heineke. They should have just stuck to the script and just kept playing to kind of get a real full evaluation for him. But I never really felt like the Falcons did that.
Yeah, that was a blame game kind of thing for me, where obviously we've all seen this for all different coaching staffs before, where you change the quarterback because you want to blame it on the quarterback before you blame it on the coach, right? And that's what it felt like for me, and I know a lot of people who follow the Falcons. Was like, for example, I always had a problem with Arthur Smith and the scheme and the game plans that he had. I just did, and a lot of people did too. And so, like, I remember when they first made the switch, to Taylor Heineke, it's like, all right, oh, you switched it. I better see this offensive explosion or something.
Right.
Right. And it never happened. So my thing was, I said then too, I was like, look, if I were the coaches, I wouldn't do it. Because if you make this switch and the offense is still stagnant, you have nobody else left to blame. It fully goes down on your shoulders. And well, as we see, what the final result was after that Saints game is Arthur Smith got fired, and here we are with Raheem Morris. So
Yep.
All right, so help me out, man. Help me.
I'm sorry, Maestro.
I'm sorry, Trey.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Nah, you go ahead, man.
Nah,
go ahead, man.
Because he's talking about the offense. He's talking about Arthur Smith and everything. I think another thing to bring up too, the misuse of Kyle Pitts is so puzzling to me. What's the deal with that? Like, take me into the inside of that, and how do you misuse a guy like that?
Yeah, it's so crazy because I remember Kyle Pitts' first year. That's still when we had Matt Ryan. That was Matt Ryan's last year in Atlanta.
Yep.
And Kyle Pitts I think either he set it or he came close to setting the rookie record for most receiving yards by a tight end. Mike Ditka's record, or he was right there next to it.
Yeah.
And then that next year he got hurt, and we all thought it was like an MCL, right? And so it was like, okay, MCL injury, it's gonna take him some time to get back. So year 3 comes up, and he just wasn't moving the same, right? And at that time, all we thought it was he messed up his MCL. And so it's like, okay, it's just going to take time for him to get back and recover, feel like get back into that groove and rhythm. Sometimes with injuries, that takes some time.
Right.
So later on, it comes out, and I think this was right after the season, he also had work done on his PCL. And so it's like, okay. And now everyone understood. It's like, okay, that really makes sense as to why that doesn't look like Kyle Pitts. Because all of us remember the 84 at Florida, right? Like how he would run and move and things like that. So that we all had those questions, and I had even said throughout the week, I was like, he's not moving like himself. Something's not right. And so many people, some people in Atlanta being like, oh, he's just being lazy. He's not trying to run routes away. It's like, no, I don't think that's that. Right. So later, that's what came out. But so to your point, it's a mix of things of, I would have loved to see him be used more and differently. I think this year, right, you're going to see more of what we saw in year 1 with him. Okay. But a lot of that is just because of his health.
Gotcha.
I really do think so. So that I'm excited to see what's going to happen for him.
So just for clarity, you feel like they weren't, it wasn't scheme per se, it like trying to involve him. Maybe he just wasn't capable of being involved the way he wanted to be.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I just overall with Arthur Smith and the offense, I had questions about the scheme. But one thing I'm looking forward to is, with Zach Robinson coming in as our offensive coordinator, who, he was underneath Sean McVay for a few years, and he was a quarterback himself. Maybe some people don't remember him, but he was a QB back at Oklahoma State, back in the day. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to dial some things up for him, and what they can and what they can make happen for him, because I really do think that it was a mix. One, he wasn't healthy enough, and I think that's the most important part.
Right.
There were some scheme aspects with that too, though, that I think that with this new regime coming in, that's going to help a lot.
All right, help me out, man, because he was fired and then hired by an offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Yep.
So, is there a way that I can be joyous about this? And let me tell you what I'm thinking. What I researched is that clearly we plan on running the ball a lot. He plans on running the ball a whole lot. I read that while the yards weren't necessarily there, y'all handed the ball off a lot in Atlanta, like maybe like top 5, top 10 type attempts. Then I marked that back to his career with Tennessee, meaning that he used tight ends a lot in Tennessee, and then obviously he had Derrick Henry. But like the point is that he likes to run the ball. He likes to do I just want my offense to be good, man. That's what I want. And I know Kenny
I can
Pickett.
relate.
And I know Kenny Pickett is a problem. They came out and said that they are not interested in Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins. They're not interested in nobody, which only leads me to believe that when Tomlin came out and said that we're going to bring in some competition for him, that they have every motherfucking intention on bringing Tannehill into Pittsburgh. And like that's what I believe their full intention is at this point. So I'm asking you, Jordan, to give me some type of hope going into the year. I believe I said it on your show. I'm sure I said it on every single show that would allow me last preseason. That Pittsburgh was going to win upwards of anywhere over 11 games.
You said 13. You said exactly 13 games.
Thank you.
You said 13, bro. Don't be like upward of nah, nigga. You said 13.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm not going to jump out the window and say 13 this preseason, but is there anything positive you can offer me for Arthur Smith being the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh?
Well, I'll give you this. I think back to not this last season, but the second season when we had Marcus Mariota as our quarterback, right? The run game that we had that year was incredible. And we had a good mix of runners to choose from. Obviously, Marcus could run himself, but then, there was Cordero Patterson had that rebirth in Atlanta.
Algier.
Tyler Algier. I was a huge Tyler Algier fan. Caleb Huntley was a late pick kind of guy, and also Avery Williams. So we had all those guys. I look at what Pittsburgh has, and even just in the running backs themselves, right? You have Najee, he's from out here actually. Shout out the Bay Area.
Yeah. And
Jalen Warren, who I know there's been a lot of conversation and dialogue with Steelers fans of who's actually better than the other, right? But to an extent, that's a good thing to have with running backs because Najee is a good running back. It's not like he's a bum and you're trying to say that someone's better than the other. What Arthur Smith likes to do with the tight end. Again, I know we just talked about Kyle Pitts, but Jonnu Smith was someone who both in Tennessee and then also here last year in Atlanta really thrived. And I look at what Pittsburgh has with Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
I think that's a position group that he can really take advantage of. And also the fact that Darnell, both of those guys are really good blockers. Like you had to be a good blocker, in my opinion, in Arthur Smith's scheme and system to make things work. And remains to be seen what happens in Atlanta with the receiver group this year. But I think that if you look at just the talent, now the maturity part, still a lot to remain to be seen right in Pittsburgh. But talent-wise, with Pickens and Deontay Johnson and all those guys, oh my goodness, that's a lot more talent than what Arthur Smith had in Atlanta. I love Drake London, but then after that, it's like, okay, who else was there?
Right.
I'm not fully off the Arthur Smith can make things happen as a coordinator bus yet, right?
Gotcha.
Sometimes, like that truly is the case for people. A lot of guys are better as coordinators than they are head coaches. Perfect example. We've seen Josh McDaniels now in two different places as a head coach, right? With the Raiders and the Broncos. Didn't work out well. Pretty good OC though when he was in New England, right? So it's just situations and things like that. Even though I'm not happy with how his Atlanta tenure went, I'm looking at what Pittsburgh's like. No, there's some things there that can make this work.
Thank you, man. I needed that glimmer. I got you recorded on an outside source, so when preseason comes along this year, I'm gonna say Jordan said.
Now, let's keep in mind, I didn't say they won the 13 games, right? Let's make sure.
And Jordan, let's be clear. He was always on the positive side of the Arthur Smith thing. It's just he's just bringing this up just for conversation because he coached in Atlanta. But me and him had the conversation that yes, sometimes you're better as a coordinator than you are a head coach.
Yes.
And being with the Steelers, and let's be clear, I'm a Ravens fan. I hate the Steelers with a passion, but
of course.
Him being the coordinator with what they got, it could work. Now, the quarterback, that's the question mark. And I'll say to you, Maestro, I didn't hear them come out to say that they weren't interested in Justin Fields and whoever the other guy was, Kirk Cousins. But
Athletic reported it this morning.
Okay.
Affleck reported it this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I might, just from an outsider looking in, I might take that as a grain of salt only because we're kind of in the early stages of the upcoming league year and everybody's, throwing stuff out there to say, hey,
Sure.
we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. It's more so, playing tactics leading up to the draft, leading up to free agency. We'll see what happens. I know you don't want Tannehill, but you definitely need an upgrade over Kenny Pickett. That's for sure.
It's crazy because actually with what I know Arthur Smith wants to do, at least when I saw his offense be the most effective and efficient in Atlanta, like I said, he had a mobile threat quarterback, right? With like I said, we had Marcus Mariota. And so there's this weird dynamic with it though, because remember, Arthur Smith had a chance to draft Justin Fields in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And they decided to say no. That's when we got Kyle Pitts. So I wonder like if there's still something there with that too, and again, I always tell people we know how big of egos these players and athletes have. Coaches have even bigger egos.
Yeah, for sure.
And so there is some times where it's just like, no, they want to be right more than, what's actually right to succeed. And so who knows? I mean, maybe that if it is true, right, that Pittsburgh's not looking at him, I wonder how much that plays into it.
Yeah, because it's the conversation seems to me in the Justin Fields sweepstakes, it seems to be clearly between Atlanta and Pittsburgh.
Feels that way, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, look, for the research that I've been doing, it would seem that it would stand to cost us somewhere between like $24 million and that's just obviously if Justin Fields is, we pull a trade off. Like it's because if we get Justin Fields, we're going to have to.
You have to extend him.
That's going to happen. That's going to have to happen.
Yep.
It's just a lot. Here's what I think. Let me just get to what I think. I think y'all going to get Justin Fields. I think y'all are going to end up getting. Yeah, I think y'all going to end up getting Justin Fields. And again, and everybody that knows me knows that I didn't want to draft Kenny Pickett, but we drafted him, so here we are. I think it's fair to give him his third year and let him and know we're going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt this is not our quarterback. Now I thought that when we drafted him, but I think it would be fair that if we drafted him first round, we got to give him first round draft pick respect to at least give him that third year and give him an opportunity under a new offensive coordinator. To an experienced offensive coordinator by that to get him to run his show and hopefully Kenny Pickett turn up. But I think y'all gonna end up getting Justin Fields.
So Maestro, question for you. And I agree with that point as far as you drafted him in the first round. At least give him the 3 years. I mean, the Jets gave Zach Wilson the full 3 years, right? I mean, I know they got Aaron Rodgers and stuff, but he was still on the roster. If you're the Steelers, why come out and say we're going to give Kenny Pickett some competition? I mean, got to be something there.
Because Tannehill, but that's why I'm saying they're going to get Tannehill. Because Tannehill let's be clear about something. If we get Justin Fields, there ain't no competition.
Right.
Kenny Pickett's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that ain't that's not a quarterback competition. The quarterback that best suits what I believe to be competition where he can still earn his job is a Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill has done this before with Marcus Mariota. That's why Marcus Mariota ended up off he came. I'll never forget it. It happened against Pittsburgh in the preseason. I said, "Damn, Tannehill is cooking us." And Mariota ended up losing the job, and there goes the Ryan Tannehill career in Tennessee. When everybody thought he was a MVP, thought he was MVP status and all those types of things, and I never believed him. But he's good enough to challenge a quarterback who ain't playing good. If you lose to Ryan Tannehill, then we know he ain't the franchise quarterback.
Another thing with that too, right? I think there's two tiers that you have of quarterback in terms of if you're here as an organization, right? Like, okay, yeah, we're going with this guy. Now that means that you either have the guy, so we're talking about like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy kind of dudes, Jared Goff, the guys like that right now, or it's we're not ready to compete. We have a young guy. Let's see what he can do. So that's where you have like the Bryce Youngs, Will Levis, guys like that.
Right.
Anywhere in between, and to your point, it's just like if you're Kenny Pickett, I mean, what has he done in this league to not have competition or not deserve to have a competition?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's kind of the thing for me, and that's why I mean, even if I were him, I'd have no problem hearing someone say that.
Yeah.
Like even just as an adjacent for us, Raheem Morris was down at the combine down in Indy last week, and I forget what the question was, but one of his answers was just like, I might not be standing at this podium if we had better quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're Desmond Ridder, again, like I truly do think he's going to still be in that building next year. And everyone's like, wow, he just took a shot at Desmond Ridder. But I'm sitting there like, y'all don't think Desmond Ridder doesn't know that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of the thing for me where I'm looking at it with Kenny Pickett of like, I'm sure he knows that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's, I mean, clearly bottom 3 quarterbacks last year. Clearly. There's no look, we drafted you. We're going to treat. It's that thing. We're going to give you the treatment. We're going to bring in a quarterback that is capable of taking your job. But if you're on your shit, he should not take your job.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like, guess who's still in the building? Kenny Pickett. Guess who's not? Matt Canada.
Right.
That should already even show him enough too, right? Like, you still have some belief in you.
Right. So, I just want to have a competitive team at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
If Kenny Pickett is cool, if he ain't, great. And
sure.
and that's what we stand with it. That's
if you're going to compete in the AFC North, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow coming back, and God knows what Deshaun Watson is. I'm not even sure he can get back to his Houston days, but this was the toughest division in football, last season. Everybody over 500. Just again, I don't want this to happen, but a Justin Fields to Pittsburgh would really put Pittsburgh, I think, not saying division title, but it would certainly go to that 12-win, 13-win threshold.
But why are you so confident with Why are you so confident with that?
With Justin Fields?
Look, potential, I'm with you. And if you're asking me who I would rather have Justin Fields. Let's be very clear.
Clear upgrade.
But yeah, I'm gonna name the stat wrong.
Yeah.
But it's a pass yardage efficiency stat where Justin Fields is at 4.7 and Kenny Pickett is at like a 4.9.
Okay.
So I get, my point is that while I believe Justin Fields is capable and he just hasn't had the weapons around him to throw the ball, I don't know for a fact football in the NFL and that around George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, et cetera, that he's going to flat out just come here and compete with Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson. Let's be clear about something. Justin Fields comes to Pittsburgh. He's still the worst quarterback in the division.
But
I think that's what's so fun about how the Steelers are set up.
Right.
He doesn't have to compete with Joe Burrow or Lamar.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's one of those things of, again, that's why one of the first things that jumped off the page for me with what could work in Pittsburgh with Arthur Smith is the run game.
Exactly.
Right? Because again, if you can keep running the football, okay, now we have something going there, right? But because I mean, it's not even just offense to offense or quarterback to quarterback. Look at some of the defenses you have to go against in the AFC North. I mean, there's a reason why San Francisco, I think they went 1-3 last year against the AFC North, and they were in the Super Bowl representing the NFC.
Yeah,
it's because those are physical, tough defenses that you go against, but. As always, a great neutralizer and all of that is a good run game.
It's a good run game.
And that's what Pittsburgh can do, especially with Arthur Smith there.
But with Justin Fields
and that's what I was getting at.
With Justin, and I hear you. I guess the other part we don't talk about with Justin Fields is with that running ability, it's going to scare some defensive coordinators. Like having Justin Fields with Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, I would think that that's going to be a more difficult offense to cover and scheme for versus an offense with Kenny Pickett at quarterback. That's just me.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, no, you're 100% right from the standpoint of like I'm telling y'all, like being in some meeting rooms, just like how much more difficult it is to game plan for a quarterback that can run versus one that stays in the pocket or
yeah,
things like it makes things that much more difficult. I mean, here's a perfect example, right? We saw in the Super Bowl, got to have a situation, fourth down.
Yeah.
What does Kansas City do? They do that kind of triple option modified, right?
yeah, yeah.
And Mahomes keeps it, he runs. Why does it work? It's because now he can run and he can get out the pocket, but he's not like a runner.
Runner,
right?
Exactly.
So what does
exactly.
Nick Bosa do off rip? Boom, crashes down. That
yeah.
opens up that outside edge, right? Now, let's say if you're going against someone like a Lamar or to an extent Deshaun, Mariota, you name it, that switches up completely what your responsibilities are in that.
Yeah.
And when Marcus was in Atlanta, it opened up our rushing attack so much because that switches up now completely what your responsibilities are going to be and where your eyes go for certain guys on the defense.
Yeah.
Like I could get it. We played Marcus Mariota when he was at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Heisman Marcus Mariota.
Right.
So
right.
that was tough. That was tough
Right.
to game plan for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So but also we would go against guys like we went against like a Josh Rosen when he was at UCLA.
Yeah.
The way you talk about your rushing plans and your rush attack, like it's all so different when you have that threat of a runner. That's what I'm saying. Like if it's true that Pittsburgh's not in on Justin Fields, I would be very shocked.
Yeah. I hear you. My thought is that and I get that Kenny Pickett obviously hasn't thrown the ball that much better than Justin Fields, if better at all. I think that their focus is going to be on the running game and giving him the ability that if he get a pocket, he can throw the ball. He does a lot of he see ghosts. That's what he does. He see a lot of ghosts and spins in the sacks. That's what.
Shout out Sam Darnold.
Yeah, he spins into a lot of sacks. So I'm thinking offensive line, get the run game going, give him the ability to throw the ball, and then he's dangerous in the sense of it's not that Kenny Pickett can't scramble. He just doesn't obviously scramble to the likes of Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields for that matter. So it's not like he's not capable of scrambling. I think that we want to have the threat of throwing the ball when he drops back, because at the end of the day, the press is out. Justin Fields might not be able to throw the ball. The press is out about that. That's the thing about him. So let me be clear. If it came down to it, and you ask a Maestro, Justin Fields or Kenny Pickett, I am taking Justin Fields.
Oh, I know you are.
Yeah.
Course,
Let's be very very clear. Very clear. But for money reasons, we had an intent of making this guy who we've been talking to since high school, because he's when he was at Pitt.
Played at Pitt, yep.
Yeah, so for those reasons, we want to make sure we put our best due diligence in to make him our franchise quarterback. So that's why I tend to lean towards we're not getting anybody that's going to take his job, because it's not a quarterback competition if Justin Field comes in.
Facts.
Sure did help them when he was at Pitt throwing to a Biletnikoff winner and Jordan Addison, huh?
Jordan Addison, for sure. So maybe if we can get some blockers. Look, George Pickens, give me George Pickens. The problem is that we just wasn't feeding him enough. We wasn't force feeding him enough, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And then with Deontay Johnson being injured them games, like he's one of them route runners. He's one of them route runners. I say a top 10 route runner in the league, in my personal opinion. So, I think if we can get that and get the offensive line gelling sooner than we did last year, sky is the perceivable limit.
No doubt.
Basketball.
No doubt.
Let's talk some basketball, man. Let's talk some basketball.
Yeah. Let's do this, man. Let's do this.
I think I know where this is going too.
Look.
I know where this is going.
Let's Maestro. So let me set this up real quick. So Stephen A did a top 5 list today on First Take. He said top 5 current players in the league that you would give statues to when it's all said and done with their careers and stuff. So in his top 5, he had Giannis. He had LeBron on there twice, once with the Heat, once with the Cavs. He had Steph, number 1, and then he had Clay and Draymond in like I think number 4, something like that, right? So I disagree with it at first. Then I started seeing the conversation on Twitter about it. People were questioning, hey, do you give a statue to Clay and Draymond? I know Jordan said, yeah, you absolutely do. Why is it even a question? And I kind of agree with you, Jordan. Like, yeah, it shouldn't even be a question, but I think we disagree about how we feel about it individually. I say no. You say, yeah, they definitely deserve it. Here's why I say I wouldn't do it. And obviously, if they ever did do it, it would be setting a precedent, right? Because I look at statues for guys that are the greatest for that particular franchise, right? I look at it for players who at one point in their careers was the best player on that particular franchise. Like you look at the Bulls, Jordan's statue is up. I don't see Scotty's statue up, right?
Yeah.
You look at the Lakers, you see Kobe statue, Kareem, Magic, Shaq, all those players at one point on the Lakers was the best player on the team. With Golden State, Steph's the best player on the team. For all those championship runs, for the duration of his career, and as great as Clay is with the shooting and as great as Draymond is with facilitating and being that dog, Steph is the best player on the team throughout all those years. So for me, that's why I wouldn't give them statues. But if they ever did, it would certainly be setting a new precedent. What do you think about that, Jordan?
So I guess like even with that being said, I would ask you this: what's your, just remind me, what's your basketball team?
The Knicks.
The Knicks. Okay. The reason why I asked that is because what we were talking about in our group chat is, again, the perspective depending on what your team is and what their expectations are. That's going to change how you think about this topic. Right. So the thing for me is, like, you're right. Steph is one of them ones, right? We all know that that's not up for debate. But also, if you fully follow this Golden State Warriors journey, you would also remember Golden State was ready to trade Steph. They were going to trade Steph to Milwaukee, but he didn't pass. The doctors in Milwaukee didn't pass him because remember he had the ankle issues.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was either going to be Steph or it was going to be Monte. They couldn't have both of them.
Right.
So they ended up trading Monte.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to make room for, guess who? Klay Thompson to come in. So the thing is, like, yes, as great as Steph is, this dynasty does not happen without all three of them.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And for different reasons. Like, if you have that great of a shooter, like, let's remember exactly who Klay Thompson is now. Before he had those two devastating injuries, one of the best two-way players, if not the best two-way player in the league.
Yeah.
Scored 37 points in a quarter.
Yeah.
I think he still has the record. I think he set it in Chicago for most three-pointers in a game. Like, it is easy to see Klay Thompson as Klay Thompson now,
right?
And kind of forget, like, exactly who that dude was.
Right.
So I think that's part of it. And again, with Draymond, Draymond was a LeBron, in my opinion, he was a LeBron block and a Kyrie side step three away from being a Finals MVP. When the Cavs made that 3-1
3-1 comeback,
Yeah, exactly. So I like that's who Draymond was, and I get it. Like, a lot of times we like to look at stats. You don't see him scoring a lot or whatever, but you can't measure the impact that Draymond has with the Warriors and what he does in just stats. I mean, look even this year. He got suspended after the he hit Nurkic, right? For Phoenix.
Punched him in his face.
And Golden State struggles.
Yeah.
Draymond comes back. They had this great month. Steve Kerr was the coach of the month in the Western Conference. But so much of that was because Draymond was back and the impact that he has, of course, defensively, but even offensively. There's a reason why a lot of times Steph gets those open looks that he does. Yeah. And Steph will tell you that. So, that's kind of the thing for me. But again, it's just like I said, it all depends on where you're from. Like, do I think that this is a conversation of Steph and Klay and Draymond getting statues if they're in the Lakers? To your point, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. It'd just be Steph. But like obviously for me, I'm a Hawks fan. We have one statue right now inside of State Farm Arena. That's Dominique Wilkins.
Dominique,
Yeah.
yep.
Dominique didn't win anything outside of dunk contests.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But because of the expectations and standards are different for the Hawks than they are, say, the Lakers or the Celtics or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what he did and what he meant to that team, yeah, of course he deserves a statue.
He was the best player.
It's almost like
he was the best player on the team.
Exactly. Well, yeah, for sure. But I'm saying, like, even when he was the best player on the team, he could have been the best player on the team in other franchises. But if you didn't win, he's still not getting a statue. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Here's another one for you, just like more modern times.
Yep.
Right. I think Caitlin Clark. Right. Everything she's doing. I love Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Let's say she was doing what she's doing right now. If she was doing that, like, say, UConn and UConn's history.
Yeah.
Right. Of all the players that they had coming through.
Yeah.
You think she's getting a statue at UConn? No. Because guess what? She hadn't won. She hadn't won a title. Right? But
interesting.
If you, I mean, think about it, right? Breonna Stewart came through there. I think she won 4. You got Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Rebecca Lobo. Like, you can go on and on and on about the winners that have been at UConn. When you think about Iowa, the reason why we're talking, for the most part, we're talking about Iowa women's basketball is because of Caitlin Clark.
Yep.
So, of course, she's going to get a statue there. Right?
Yep.
It's a different standard. And that's kind of my point about what I'm saying with the Warriors. Because, I mean, y'all know, the Warriors were not good for a while.
Yeah.
They were not good. But now you have this trio that's been together for, 10, 11, 12 years that have really set a standard and have been kind of that model of, hey, everyone's trying to play like us now, right? With an undersized center.
Yeah.
Everybody's shooting.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to copy that. Absolutely, they deserve to have, all three of them deserve to have statues.
Okay, so my last question in that topic. Does Chris Mullin deserve a statue?
Well, so that's the thing. It's what as fun as the Run TMC teams were. What did they win?
They didn't win nothing.
Okay.
The reason why we're talking about this topic
because they won.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's fair.
And they won 4 times.
That's
won
fair.
a lot.
That's fair.
That's
fair. That's fair.
So Maestro,
okay. That's fair. I can't.
So Maestro, in your opinion, Clay and Dre deserve statues? In your opinion?
Yes, I think I agree. I think that they deserve a statue. I mean, for me, more so Clay than Draymond. But you can't really break those 3 up. Those three are synonymous with a dynasty. So, and it's not like okay, like if you want to talk about like the Celtics, for instance, like you can like if you put statues of Paul Pierce. In my opinion, I mean, maybe Paul Pierce is more deserving than Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen because he's been there longer. But you kind of gotta put like that championship is because of those 3 guys collectively. I ain't gonna say like maybe it's sliders of who deserves more, who, what, when, where, why. But what's synonymous with that championship is those 3 guys. It's not Paul Pierce more than such and such. Like you don't have. I get that Steph is the star, but you don't have that championship or this dynasty without Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. You just don't have it.
But here's the other part about that too, right? Because you're talking about Paul Pierce. I've always said Paul Pierce doesn't deserve a statue in Boston. Here's the reason why. Not because he wasn't good enough.
Yeah, Larry Bird's there.
Well, Larry Bird's there. Bill Russell's there. Like they have 16, 17 titles.
Yeah.
So you won 1. And you think you're going to get a statue?
Yeah, right.
No, that's not going to happen in Boston.
Right. I agree.
Like you said, it's a standard. Yeah. It's a standard that they expect.
Exactly.
It's a standard.
That makes
sense. It's all standard and perspective, and it all based around like your organization and what you're accustomed to.
If I'm Scottie Pippen, I'm calling the Bulls to be like, yo, where my statue at?
And you know what? I don't think anybody, honestly, if Scottie wanted to ask that, I don't think anybody could blame him.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody can blame him.
He was just as important to that dynasty as Jordan was.
That's what I'm saying in terms of, again, look, Jordan didn't win before he got there. Even when Jordan retired the first time, remember Scottie could have been the MVP. They had him. It was the Eastern Conference Finals, I think.
Yeah.
So they were still right there because of Scottie's lead in tenure. So no, that's the thing. Is like I'm not the person that's gonna be like if you bring up this person, right? So, for example, Scottie, if you want to say, well, Scottie should have a statue, I'll be like, okay. I'm not gonna say no.
Right.
One of the other people we brought up in our group was Russell Westbrook at OKC, and I was like, okay, sure, but again,
Sure.
it's not like you have a championship culture with Oklahoma City,
Right.
but you do have this one dude who, when he got drafted there, he stayed there for all those years, until finally he was like, okay, we'll trade him. He got all the triple doubles and all these things. It's like, yeah, sure. If you want to say based off what their standard is in OKC that he deserves a statue, I'm not going to argue that.
I mean, that make me sound like that sound like you saying Bradley Beal should have a statue out front of Capital One. That's a sad, sad statue to be out in front of my.
Listen, if they don't have one of John Wall hitting the Dougie for his rookie intro,
I was gonna say,
no, Bradley Beal doesn't.
You can't give Bradley Beal a statue and not Gilbert Arenas, bro. I'm sorry.
Well, no, but the reason why I said Bradley Beal is because he stayed. And I get he just left, but he stayed.
Yeah.
Like he should have been gone like maybe 4 or 5 years before he stayed. Like in Portland, Damian Lillard should have a statue. You know what I'm saying? Like it's those things like maybe not over Clyde Drexler, but Damian Lillard should damn sure have a fucking statue.
Good point.
If that's the criteria.
No, that's fair, and that's why, like I said, it depends on the standard. Whatever organization you're in. I mean,
standard is a good conversation.
Yeah, because again, who knows? Maybe Damian Lillard one day does have something like that in Portland. Like who's to rule that out?
Right.
The Bradley Beal topic is so interesting because even before the Bradley Beal John Wall era came in, the Wizards were a playoff team. Yeah. Right. You talked about Gilbert Arenas, Deshaun Stevenson, like that group, right? So they had guys that were in the playoffs. That wasn't a foreign thing. Where like that's why, where again it gets different, but of course, like I said, different standards, different groups, different teams. Like Dirk. Look, Dirk won one title. And I love Dirk.
And 100% should have a statue.
He should have a statue.
Should have one.
Yeah.
But again, the question is, if you put him, let's say whether it's LA, again, Boston, like some of those places we brought up,
maybe not.
A lot of people would say no.
Yeah.
Reggie Miller didn't win a title. But as important as we know Reggie Miller is to Indiana, would you say that he deserves a statue in Indiana?
100%.
I would say yes.
There you go. See,
I would say yes.
So that's kind of where I was on this, and tying it back again to Clay and Draymond of, okay, maybe if you look at that second, third option for other teams, okay, maybe that's not a conversation of a statue, right?
Yeah, some teams don't even believe in statues at all, too. Like, I mean, you brought up the Knicks championships in their history, yet you don't see a statue of Walt Clyde Frazier out in Madison Square Garden. I'm not even sure that the Knicks believe in putting up statues or not, but it kind of goes to your point about the standard part of what these franchises believe in. Like the Spurs, while they never went back-to-back, they've still won 5 championships with Tim Duncan. Nobody's talking about giving Tim Duncan a statue out front of their arena. Not even sure if that's even going to be a possibility. Maybe they don't believe in that stuff.
Right. It all depends. But I guess like that's why, because remember initially this all started off like, and I'm saying this years ago.
Yeah.
Of who deserves jersey retirements. Remember that's how it all started. And I'm glad actually I think about that because again, going back to the OKC, remember Nick Collison's jersey is hanging up in the was it Paycom Energy Center? In the rafters up there.
Nick Collison.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, the reason why is because he was so loyal. He stayed there. He played there for so long.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wasn't he when the franchise moved? Wasn't he with the Sonics when they moved? Yeah. I think that was part of the reason
exactly.
too.
Right. Like it wouldn't surprise me that down in Miami we'll see a 40 banner hanging up in the rafters one day for Udonis Haslem.
Yeah.
But,
Amari Stoudemire just had his jersey retired last week with the Suns
in Phoenix.
Congrats to him. Deserved.
Absolutely. But I just bring those up to say, like, again, even with those jerseys, like for most other franchises or a lot of other teams, that wouldn't be a conversation of do they need those retired? No. Yeah. But just for what that franchise and organization, their standard is and what they appreciate, what they have won or haven't won, that works for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's the key to this conversation, and you hit it on the head. I think it's the key is standard. What has these franchises achieved? And like I said, like with Golden State, getting kind of tying it back to that conversation, yeah, you can't leave Draymond and Clay out. You just can't.
No,
You just
no,
can't do it. You just can't do it. You just can't do it.
not at all.
All right.
Talk about your Hawks, man.
Oh my goodness.
How long is Trey going to endure this nonsense?
The Hawks, like I'll try my best to keep this short and sweet because sometimes I can talk about the Hawks and just rant.
It's funny because the Hawks is playing my Knicks right now. I got them on TV right in this second.
See, I didn't even know. I'm not even trying to turn it on. That's just how they got on my nerves lately.
Well,
but...
just to give you a little bit of context, man, my team hadn't won a game all February, and we are at about 9 wins right now. So
9 and 50 something.
But I guess that's the thing. Like you knew that was the expectation for a while, is that the Wizards were going to be bad. You know what I mean?
I had high hopes, man. I know. I'm a dreamer. You know, I'm a positive person.
This is true.
I
I've
try
seen
to
it.
be.
I've
I try
seen
to
it.
be a positive person, and I said that I said at preseason, you know, we're not gonna play no defense. I'm aware of it. It's not gonna happen. But I feel like if we can get these people scoring, mainly Jordan Poole and Kuzma, we could. My expectation was to play in, but my ceiling was to succeed. That was my ceiling.
Kind of like what the Pacers are doing. The Pacers are scoring a bunch of these points, and they're hovering around the 6th, 7th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, but I tell you what, they also have Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah,
so that
facts.
helps a lot.
Facts.
But you know, the thing that's so disappointing for the Hawks is, remember, it's like 2-3 years ago, we were in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with this core group with Trey, John Collins, Kevin Herter,
Capella,
all those guys.
Yep.
Capella, DeAndre Hunter, and you know, after that, it's like everything that they've done since then has been taking a step back.
Yeah.
Right. And not even just roster wise. You look at the organization where it was like, you know, so Tony Ressler, he was like the majority owner. And it's like, okay, cool. We can put a name with the face, all those things like that. Because anybody else knows, history of the Hawks was, for a while, they were owned by the Atlanta Spirit Group.
Okay.
And the Atlanta Spirit Group was also the same group that pretty much ran the Thrasher, you know, the NHL team out of town, because they just didn't care about them.
Yeah.
So, you know, we didn't care for Atlanta Spirit.
I was gonna say, it wasn't because black people didn't care about hockey that they left.
No, the ownership group didn't care about hockey. That was the problem.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because like, no, it's like, seriously, the thing for me is just like, and you know, time's a little different. A lot of people have moved to Atlanta, to your point. But look at what Atlanta United is doing, numbers wise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They a lot of times will outsell their home game. Their home games will outsell more than some Premier League teams do. Right? You know, talking about what goes on in England. So
yeah.
It's one of those things that, like, no, if you truly invest in it and something's going on, you can make it work. There's a reason why that, you know, they're building this new project, I think, out in Forsyth, to build an arena and maybe bring another NHL team out there. Because, again, numbers show, like, if you really do invest in it, you can make it work in Atlanta.
Interesting.
But yeah, like, I mean, look, even in the time that the Thrashers were there, they made the playoffs once. They won the division once and got swept by the Rangers. And outside of that, that was it. You know, that was all the success that they had for the most part. But, you know, back to the Hawks, it was, you know, we had Travis Schlenk, who was the assistant GM for the Warriors. He came over, was our GM. You know, things are rolling and humming. Then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, he's gone, and Tony Ressler, who I said who's the owner, his son is now the GM. And we're just all like, okay, wait, why are we switching things up? What's going on here? And, you know, we traded out Kevin Herter. You know, you made that trade for DeJounte Murray, who now, who knows? Are we going to keep him? Are we going to trade Trey? Like, nobody knows. It was just like overnight, the Hawks went from a place of finally having some stability organizationally to now, you know, they switched so much stuff up, and it's just like, well, who knows what's next?
Yeah, I never liked that trade. By the way, I didn't pretend to follow Murray a whole lot, but what I did see is that in San Antonio he had the ball in his hands a lot. So
Sure.
that's going to take the ball out of Trey Young's hands. Like that. That didn't seem like that was a good move to me.
I mean, I was looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like I wanted to see Trey be in some more catch and shoot opportunities and take a little bit less off of him.
Okay.
Also, like if you are gonna have you're gonna have a backcourt that has Trey, you better have someone that in the backcourt too that can play defense. We know DeJounte,
Yeah,
That's a fact.
that's his
That's a
reputation.
That's a fact.
So I was cool with that. But again, the thing for me is like how they handled the whole Kevin Huerter situation. Because I remember there was a quote years ago, Tony Ressler said, like, hey, if we think it's worth it and we're in the luxury, we'll pay the luxury tax.
Mhm.
But then you trade Kevin Huerter away because you want to get out the luxury tax.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Right.
so now I'm
Right.
just like, well, then what are we doing?
Yeah, he was one of the key guys in that run to the conference finals that year. He was one of those key guys.
We don't beat Philly in Game 7 if it wasn't for Kevin Huerter.
And then
Like he owned that game.
Yeah, for sure. And then he started cooking in Sacramento. Like, yeah. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for real. But at least I give him credit. I give the Hawks credit in this sense. They attempted to make the team better with the Dejounte Murray acquisition. They knew they needed something, a second star to go along with Trey, and they tried to make something happen. And it just hasn't worked out up to this point.
But what was the issue with John Collins, you think, though? So it's like, because like it seems to me,
as far as like a second guy, like a Robin kind of a guy.
Well,
he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't a Rob. The thing for me with John Collins, and I think this is what they're kind of experiencing this year. You need those energy guys on your team.
Yeah.
John Collins plays with nothing but heart and passion. Like I'm a big John Collins fan.
Yeah.
And last year I know his shooting numbers were down. He had an injury with I think it was his pinky or something, but it messed up his shot.
Yeah.
But there was something there where again he was that energy, heart and soul kind of the team.
Yeah.
Dude, and I think they're missing that this year. But I think it goes back. It's a bigger conversation than just John Collins. It's again, like I said, the thing is like they brought in DeJounte Murray. Okay, cool, got it. And then again, I am a fan of DeJounte's game, right? Like let's not get it twisted.
Right.
But you almost did that because you messed up the Kevin Huerter situation.
Exactly.
Where it's again, you say you're not going to. You'll pay the luxury if you think it's worth it. You just had a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I would think that a group that just made the Eastern Conference Finals, they're worth it. They're worth paying it, right? That maybe that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
but,
no, I agree. You don't swap Kevin Huerter for Dejounte Murray. You just don't do it.
And that's the thing. It's just like, well, I guess later down the road, why did you get DeJounte Murray? You had to get him because you had this void after Kevin Huerter was gone.
Right, right.
So
yeah,
for sure.
Hey man. We got one last question for you, man. And by the way, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
This is greatly appreciated. This is good conversation we're having right here. But I got to get your
Appreciate
top 5.
y'all anytime.
Absolutely, I got to get your top 5 pro Atlanta sports athletes all time, man.
Man, I've been thinking about this one since you sent it to me. First one is easy. Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron stands alone.
Yeah.
And I know I'm in the Bay, so I'm gonna get if anyone's in the Bay watching this, they'll kill me for it. He's still the home run king.
Yeah.
755. That's the number for me.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So he's 1,000% up there. Let's see. Matt Ryan.
Okay.
Matt Ryan to me is the most important Atlanta Falcon player in history.
Wow.
Because like everyone knows, because everyone followed the Falcons one way or another when Michael Vick was there.
Yeah.
So you saw, he gets hit for dogfighting, goes to prison.
Yeah.
And listen, we were between like Joey Harrington, Byron Leftwich, Chris Redman. Those were some of the quarterbacks we had. In between. All of a sudden, here comes this rookie. And I still remember to this day because I was at the game. First NFL pass, playing the Detroit Lions, hits Michael Jenkins for a touchdown. And we're all like, oh, we might have something here.
Right.
We went to the playoffs that year. I think we went 11-5, went to the playoffs. And then, of course, the whole tenure of Matt Ryan, the Falcons were somewhat relevant.
Right.
Yeah, those
Wish we
like
could have
first
finished
5
out that
years
Super Bowl,
were
but
pretty good. Like those were like the best 5. That was like the best 5-year stretch of the Falcons in that entire like history.
until Matt Ryan was in Atlanta, the Falcons had never had back-to-back winning seasons.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
In their entire history of the franchise.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
he's the most important.
Gotcha.
And then if you want to say who the best was, then that's where you go, Julio, I'd say Julio Jones.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I like that.
And then let's see, who else am I putting in there? Chipper Jones.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Look, you a switch hitter, you hit 300 from both sides, 400
Yeah.
plus home run. Like, come on, man. That
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
you penciled him in the number 3 spot in that lineup for what 10 plus years. That Chipper Jones. So that's 4. Ooh. I would say Dominique 5.
Dominic 5. Okay.
Yeah.
gonna say, you
And
gotta
actually,
have
you know what?
Dominique in there.
I'll do this. Oh yeah, no, I absolutely do have Dominique. And the only reason why I was thinking about it was like, do I want to switch Julio for Vander Holyfield? That was the thing I'm thinking about.
I was thinking
making
about
the change
Vander
for. Yeah, that would be the one that I might make a change for. I know people are going to be like, "What about Dion?" And don't get me wrong, love Dion.
Yeah.
And Dion was a culture changer. He just wasn't here.
Yeah, I'd have had
and I think a lot of
Marcus,
people. I feel and like I won't argue that, right? I mean I have a Dion Atlanta jersey.
Yeah.
But I think about just where the Falcons were at that time. We made the playoffs. Like I remember I think we beat the Saints actually in the playoffs when Dion was in Atlanta. But so much more of his professional success,
Right.
came when he went to San Francisco,
right.
and then went to
Yep.
Dallas.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
I would just say in terms of what was accomplished, when someone is actually playing in Atlanta, that would be the list for me.
Okay. With respect to Chipper Jones, because I know what he did on the field. I can't leave Evander Holyfield out.
Yeah.
I can't.
So you
leave him
would
out.
take out Chipper and put
I
him in
would
there?
take out
Is
Chipper.
that the switch?
And
Okay.
and here's the bias. I'm not a big baseball person from the DMV.
Sure.
We like I'm a fake
Y'all had a
national.
World Series though.
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Nationals.
Oh man, and I was at the bar because we went on the road, but I was at the bar, directly across the street from it, and them streets was crazy. Like it got crazy.
I remember that series. It was the visiting team won every single game.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
in the
Yeah,
World
right.
Series.
That whole series, the road team won every game in that series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
We tore that street apart. We tore that shit apart that night. So yeah, that was a good time. And look, I get it. And maybe and clearly it's because I'm from the outside looking in. I can't leave Michael Vick out of. I can't.
The impact.
Listen, man.
The impact he had.
Now, if we're talking impact, then absolutely,
Yeah.
he's in the top 5. But
yeah.
it's just so tough because the thing for me is like when I look at Michael Vick, the player, right?
Yeah,
not
sure.
just the player.
That's fair.
It's man, if we could have had the mentality that Michael Vick had in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
in Atlanta, okay,
Yeah.
this might be a whole different conversation, right? Because all those times, there was all those stories he wasn't studying like that. Like he was
Yeah.
just so naturally gifted.
Right.
Yeah.
He wasn't locked in like that. Now, of course, he was in a situation that, everything got taken away from him.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when that happens, you think about things a lot differently
for
than
sure.
what you once did. If we could have had the Philly mentality, Michael Vick, with the natural ability in Atlanta of Michael Vick,
Right.
because people forget. I think it was 2001 in the playoffs. The Falcons were the first team ever to win a road game in the playoffs in Lambeau.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember
that was
that.
led with Michael Vick.
Yep.
And then of course I think it was 2004. We went to the NFC Championship. We lost to the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think Algie Crumpler still feeling that hit from Brian Dawkins.
Yes,
But
Lord.
I remember that.
but it's just one of those things where, man, I wish we could have had that same mentality and mindset from him the whole way
Yeah.
throughout, because I think there might be some banners hanging from the pins right now.
Yeah.
If that was the
That's
case.
fair.
So
That's fair.
yeah.
All right. Well, I just like Maestro said, and I'm a big baseball guy, but I'm leaving Chipper Jones off my list. I'm keeping Michael Vick for me just as an outsider in the top 5. But I'm with you with Hank Aaron. I'm with you somewhat with Matt Ryan. But now that you explain that a little bit, I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're kind of right. He is kind of the longevity with the franchise took him to the Super Bowl. Granted, it didn't end so great, but yeah, I would keep him on that list.
And like I said, it's what he. It's like I said, it's more so of what he took over, like the situation and the franchise when he took over. That makes it even more, make him even more important in Atlanta sports.
And it only took a year. It only took a year to really get back to that, right? So
his first year, we're in the playoffs,
and
you know, we could have beaten Arizona on the road. That was the year that Arizona, you know, they went to the Super Bowl and lost to Pittsburgh, right? Actually, I know you remember that one. So like that was that year, and we were like one possession away from coming back and winning that game. So who knows how that could have been written out?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
sure.
That's true.
But Matt Ryan over Vander Holyfield.
That's what I'm saying. I think if I were going to make a change, Matt Ryan stays, but I would take off Julio and then put on Evander. That would be my switch.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And I'm with you with Dominique too.
Evander off.
Dominique has to be on that list for certain.
Yeah,
has to be. Like you said, he got a statue, so you can't leave him off the leave him out the top 5 like that. But man, this was great, man.
This is good, man.
Appreciate you coming on. Big shout out to Wise Soul. I saw him in the YouTube live chat earlier. I saw Rod in there. My pops was in there too.
Shout out my
hanging
peeps.
out in there. But appreciate you, man. Let everybody know where they can find you at social media wise and some of the things you got coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So you can follow me. You know, I'm always active on Twitter, following sports stuff at Big75Fella. You know, Sports Live and Chill. You know, we've been a little. We took a little time off, but I think we're gonna get started ramped back up again here soon. So check us out. You know, Monday, Wednesday nights. There's another podcast I'm on. It's called the Falcon Fade Podcast. Stadium Rant produces that. We try to get a show out weekly. Usually comes out Sunday or Monday. So, you know, any Falcons fans out there that just want to get some more Falcon specific content, you know, you can catch me there too.
That's what's up. Hey, look, man, we appreciate you, man. And
appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. We will see you in these internet streets, man, for sure, man. You be safe.
Absolutely.
Out here.
All right, y'all do the same. I'm sure we'll be talking soon more too, like once the draft happens and we get a little closer to the football season.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
All right, now y'all take care.
All right. All right, you do the same. Folks, Jordan Watkins right there. Sports Laugh and Chill podcast every Monday, Wednesday on YouTube. You know, always got, you know, good game to talk as far as football's concerned, man. So truly enjoyed having him on, man. Bruh, it's time, man. It's time to get up out of here.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to the ending of this Hawks-Knicks game. I actually meant to tell Jordan that even though he's down on his Hawks, I mean, we're getting beat by, I mean, we was down by like 20-something points, but Knicks made a comeback.
Yeah, but damn near half y'all team is out.
Yeah, and it looks like Brunson took the night off. Brunson got hurt the first 30 seconds of the Cleveland game on Sunday night. It was just a
Cleveland game, right?
Yeah. It's just a knee. I think he bumped knees with Hartenstein in that possession, but they said nothing was serious, no serious damage or anything like that. So I kind of agree with them, letting them take the night off. I mean, we really should be able to beat the Hawks. Trey Young, I think, is out for an extended period of time with a torn thumb or something like that. So it is no excuse. Yeah, I mean, half our team is out, but come on, it's the Hawks. We should be able to beat the Hawks, but I like the fact that he's going to get a few more days rest. We don't play until Friday, I think, so he'll have some time to heal up. But yeah, man, always great to have the homie Jordan on. Shout out again to everybody in the chats. Wise, I see you. Rod, I see you. Pops, I see you. Facebook live chat as well. Continue to follow us on the social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. click the like button on the Facebook page, click the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We're also on Twitch as well. If you got questions, comments, you want to email us, it's barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com, and write us a review on any of these audio platforms, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Let us know what you think about the show. It goes a long way. And we got the merch store. We got some hats. We got hoodies. We got T-shirts. Click the link in the description of this episode. If you're watching, we got some good stuff, and we certainly will have some stuff coming up as the weather warms up. Maestro, as always, man, this was fun. Looking forward to it next week, man. Love, peace, happiness to everybody out there. And as always, folks, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Oh yeah, we got 'em. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro Styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left
Recording
some.
stopped.
We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey shot with the blade, you know we size it up. Quick to catch